Well, there's a lot to talk about, really, because you've released the first Ad Infinitum album last year. I hope I pronounced that right. My Latin isn't as good as my sign language. Now, it's interesting because only a few months after releasing it, you've done the acoustic version as well. Why did you make the decision to record an acoustic version so soon after releasing the album?
Well, because we saw that the year would not be as we expected, and that we would probably not be able to tour. So we decided to make something more in order to connect with the people who like our music, who discovered us through the first album and maybe wanted to hear more about us instead of waiting until we release the second album or finally can tour. So we thought there's been a good response further to the release of the album, and also the two bonus tracks in the two acoustic tracks that we included on the album. So why not doing more of this? So we decided to do a little bit to explore that path a bit more.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, the album itself seems to be going over very well. You got a lot of views on videos like March on Versailles and that kind of thing. So, are you happy with the reception so far?
Yeah, of course. We didn't expect that, to be honest. I for example, recently Napalm did this. They are doing right now this playlist of the most successful videos of 2020, and we're featured there with bands like Unleash the Arches or Ginger or Feuerschwanz, and this is bands who've been around for years. So it's it feels really good, and it motivates us even more to continue.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're one of the most in-demand vocalists at the moment. Knows where you've done a lot of guest appearances over the last year as well, and we'll get to some more of that a little bit later. Did you feel that there was enough momentum to make the album a success, or did you kind of feel that where you crowdfunded it, it was going to do well enough that it would basically just please the crowdfunding audience?
Well, I had no idea if we would make it for the crowdfunding, to be honest. First of all, the project started in 2016, and so it took quite some time to find the time to create the songs, to find the concept, to find the band afterwards. And when I did the crowdfunding campaign, I was mentally prepared to put also some money to close the campaign, because this platform, we make it, if you don't make it, if you don't reach your goal, the money goes back to the people. So I was kind of prepared to help the project, to make sure that I could at least finance the album. And in the end, we had 150%, I think, of what we expected. So it was unbelievable, unexpected, and regarding the moment of the release, it's been a good timing, because I've been touring a lot these past years. So a lot of people who saw me on stage stayed connected and stayed tuned for whatever I was doing. So it was a good moment, but it was not calculated. It was more like, oh, now we're ready.
Yeah. Well, it started as a solo project, of course. Has it more or less remained a very much your baby? Have you had a lot of input? Well, I'll say total control over the music itself.
Actually, in the beginning, sorry, I hear myself. It's just really weird. In the beginning, it was supposed to be a solo project, so I had total control over, the creation, the songs, etc., etc. And then I started to work with a producer, and he gave me a lot of inputs and advice, which were very, very useful at that time. And then the guys from the band joined, and they also started to you know, give their touch to their own instrument and also to the whole songwriting process. Now we're writing the second album, and obviously everyone is involved. And the sound is evolving a little bit as well. I mean, a little bit, a lot. And it's good. I mean, you know, when we started, we were kind of searching our identity, especially when the guys from the band joined. It was like, okay, which direction do we go? Also visually, etc., etc. Now we're getting to work more together and, you know ourselves better. And I think that for album number 2, the identity will be even stronger.
Cool. So are you expecting like a heavier album than the previous one?
Heavier, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's never a bad thing.
No.
At least but it'll be interesting because you've recently recruited a new bassist, of course, as well.
Mm-hmm.
I probably could pronounce his name completely wrong. Corbinian.
I think that's correct. You know, I'm not a native in German either, so I could also be wrong.
How's the songwriting process been different with him on board this time?
He often went to Adrian's place because they live in the same city, and they've been working together a lot while I was working remotely with either them or Nick or all of. I mean, it was kind of a mess, but a very organized mess. But yeah, it was very practical because the string section worked together in the same room to work on the demos. And he's also very creative. He also came up with some song ideas, so it was one more force to add to the group.
Cool. I'm wondering how it feels to have finally released the Ad Infinitum album at a time when you can't tour or anything like that. Really, it must feel very bittersweet.
Yeah, we were, so ready to tour. We had quite a few tour dates booked, also festivals, and we were so happy because we couldn't have a better start. We had the album, we had the music videos, we had the tours, the festivals, and then it just like, you approach the date and you're like, it's finally coming, and then no, just doesn't happen. And at first, I think we were all super sad.
Yeah.
And then we realized that actually people cannot go to concerts, cannot go to bars, restaurants, venues, you name it. They need music. So we thought the timing could actually not be better because people need it. We need to share it. In the end, we made the best out of it.
Yeah, you got to do that. The other thing as well is that it's not a somber album or anything like that. So it's got quite a lot of uplifting parts to it and that. So that kind of helps you along with the struggle of the pandemic and everything else. So it's not like a funeral doom album or anything like
that.
No. But of course, people also know you from your work with Rage of Light, and that's a band I really like because as someone that likes metal and like electronic music, to have that combined and it actually works. A lot of bands have tried it and failed. So it was 2019 when you finally released Implode, first full length. Looking back on that now, how well do you think that album turned out?
For Rage of Light it was very different because we started as a studio project. And we were just releasing videos after videos, and we created our fan base online mainly. And when we released this album, the goal was, okay, now we have a full-length album and we're finally gonna, go on tour, hit the stage. And well, that didn't really happen because, well, same thing, but it was more like, okay, then we just remain a studio band a little bit more, and in the end, it's what works best for us because we've always done that, and my bandmates, they are not full-time musicians, so it's also complicated to make it work. Like, for example, John is a teacher, so you cannot just say, hey, next week I go on tour for 3 weeks, you know.
Keep yourselves.
Yeah, so it was interesting to release an album for the first time, but I think definitely what works best for us is to release singles or EPs, so we can, you know, put out content more often, also because we enjoy making videos.
Cool. Well, it's interesting then to kind of keep it in that regard. With that being the case, would you say Ad Infinitum has kind of become your main band, without wishing to insult or relegate Rage of Light? But...
Well, definitely. I mean, Ad Infinitum is a totally different project. First of all, we're 4 full-time musicians. We really want to push this project as far as we can and tour as much as we can. And this is our job, you know, it's our career. So it's a totally different approach. And so far, it's very enjoyable.
Cool. Well, last year you released another album as well with, again, I'm probably going to get the name, Malefistum? Malefistum?
I was actually only a guest on this album.
Oh, right. I thought you were a full-time vocalist.
No.
Okay. Well, that leads into the other question then, which is that you have done so many guest appearances, you know, with bands like Walkings and Beneath My Sins and so many others. Have you found that not really being able to move around so much, you've had more time to record like these guest spots and that, just do it at home or something?
I didn't hear properly.
I was saying that with not being able to go on tour,
Okay.
have you found that more time at home has given you the opportunity to record more guest spots for other bands?
I did. I think, yeah, so far just one collaboration has been released. It was actually super surprising because it's a band in Germany who's doing electro music, who contacted me to do let's call it a cover of Metallica, which was very, very interesting and really cool because I like this song and I like what they did with it. I've had also some time to record some other collaborations, but mainly I took the time to work on Ad Infinitum's new album and also some new Rage of Light songs.
Okay.
Because there's a lot to do right now, and we're doing our best to stay connected to the people. And with Ad Infinitum, it's a full-length album that we were preparing for normally later this year. So it's been, you know, back to back, the first album, the revisited album, and then the new album. So there's been a lot of studio work, of songwriting work, and also taking care of all the tasks around the band.
Yeah. Cool. One of the other things I wanted to ask you a little bit about is, like I said, you've done some guest work with Walkings, and you were doing that under the Queen of the Damned persona, which obviously is taken from the Anne Rice books. Did you have to go through any kind of legal issues to portray this character or anything like that, or just do it and hope for the best, hope no one notices?
Well, I you know, I'm only a guest for Walkings as well, so I guess if there was any kind of legal work that was on their hands, I have no idea, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Well, it's cool though. You portray that really, really well, I think.
Thank you.
You have such a varied voice that it's able to work perfectly with this, and then Ad Infinitum is such a different animal, so to speak. You know. Well, Melissa, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today. I really do appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening. And
you too.
I hope that all this gets cleared up so Ad Infinitum can come out on tour to the UK soon.
I hope so too.
Thank you.
Normally we should, but let's see.
Bye now.
Bye.